My mom was cleaning out my dead father's office and found an envelope addressed to me. Inside was a photo of me as a baby being held by a woman I've never seen. It wasn't my mother. Dad passed 6 weeks ago from a sudden heart attack. He was 63 and seemed perfectly healthy until he collapsed in the garage. Mom couldn't bring herself to touch his office until last Saturday when she finally asked me to help. We spent the whole morning sorting through decades of files, tax returns from the 90s, old insurance policies, stacks of letters from coworkers I had never met. Then Mom reached into the very back of his bottom desk drawer and pulled out a yellowed envelope. My name was written across the front in Dad's handwriting. She handed it to me without saying anything. I assumed it would be some kind of letter or maybe legal documents he wanted me to have. Instead, I found a single photograph. A woman with dark wavy hair was cradling a newborn wrapped in a pink hospital blanket. She was looking down at the baby with tears streaming down her face. I recognized the birthmark on the baby's tiny wrist immediately because I have the exact same one. The baby in the photo was definitely me, but the woman holding me was a complete stranger. I looked up at Mom and watched all the color drain from her face. She gripped the edge of the desk so hard her knuckles went white. I asked who this woman was, and she just shook her head, refusing to answer. I asked again, and she started crying. She told me Dad made her swear she would never tell me. I told her Dad was gone, and that promise didn't count anymore when my whole understanding of myself was falling apart. She finally gave in and told me everything. She and Dad had tried for almost a decade to have children. Every test came back with bad news. The doctors eventually told them it would never happen on its own. Then one afternoon, Dad came home early and said he found a way. A woman at his company named Rosanna was pregnant and couldn't keep the baby. The father had vanished and she had no family anywhere nearby to help her. Dad offered to take me and raise me as their own daughter. Rosanna agreed on one condition. She wanted 3 days to hold me before giving me up forever. Mom said those 3 days were agony. She was convinced Rosanna would change her mind. But on the 4th day, Dad came home with me in his arms, and Rosanna signed everything and walked out of their lives. I sat there in that dusty office trying to absorb that my entire history was different than I thought. I asked why Dad kept this photo hidden for almost 30 years. Mom said she never even knew he had it. I asked if Rosanna was still alive, and Mom said she genuinely had no idea. I couldn't sleep that night. I kept studying the photograph, looking for pieces of myself in this stranger's features. Her nose had the same curve as mine. Her eyes were shaped just like mine too. I spent the next month searching for her. The first thing I found was an obituary. Rosanna died 9 years ago from cancer at 51 years old. I felt genuine grief for someone whose existence I only learned about weeks earlier. But the obituary mentioned surviving family. A sister named Della still lived about an hour away. I drove there the next morning without telling anyone. When Della opened the door and saw my face, her hands flew up to cover her mouth. She recognized me instantly. She invited me inside and pulled out boxes of old photographs. She told me Rosanna never stopped thinking about me. Every single year on my birthday, she would light a candle and weep. She desperately wanted to contact me but was terrified of upending my life. Then Della handed me a small cardboard box. Inside were 29 birthday cards, one for each year of my life. Rosanna had written every single one of them but never mailed any. I sat on that couch reading letter after letter from a dead woman who gave me life and wept harder than I ever have. The final card was written just weeks before she died. She said she prayed I was happy and loved. She said letting me go was the most painful thing she ever did, but she trusted my dad completely to give me a beautiful life. I drove home that evening and hugged my mom without letting go for a very long time. She was still my mother in every way that mattered. Nothing about our relationship had changed, but now I had this other piece of myself I never knew was missing. I put Rosanna's photo in a frame on my nightstand next to my parents' wedding picture. I visit Della regularly now. She shares memories of Rosanna, and I share stories about the daughter she never watched grow up. Last month, Della gave me a necklace Rosanna used to wear every single day. I put it on, and I have not taken it off.